Faster my good evening and welcome to the Manx Radio Folk Show with me, John Barker, playing the best in folk and roots music from the Isle of Man and around the world. As I'm sure you know, the theme tune there is played by Barrule. Let's have something else by them from their album Banana's Cloak, and this one features Greg Jochen on vocals.
Quina dan your juke to town, it doesn't nellion. Quina dan your juke to jail, a week to yield. Quina dan your juke to town, it doesn't nellion. Quina dan your juke to jail, a week to yield. She chan and Lauren cheer on hats and nothing did. Stow a Lauren birches na heart could see. She chan and Lauren cheer on hats and nothing did. Stow a Lauren birches na heart could see. Quina dan your juke to round a high and oxen. Quina dan your juke to jail, a week to yield. Quina dan your juke to round a high and oxen. Quina dan your juke to jail, a week to yield. She nudging five by goose tiads and nothing did. Taught him all a town spoken man in. She nudging five by goose tiads and nothing did. Taught him all a town spoken man in. Quina dan your juke to Grimmocken and Dalu. Quina dan your juke to jail, which to yield.
Quina dan your juke to Grimmocken and Dalu. Quina dan your juke to jail, which to yield.
She's tired and cheer on hats and nothing yet. Struggle tired more than a man in need. She's tired and cheer on hats and nothing yet.
Struggle tired more than a man in need.
Quina dan your juke to Castle Lion Bannon. Quina dan your juke to jail, which to yield.
Quina dan your juke to Castle Lion Bannon. Quina dan your juke to jail, which to yield.
She royalty and lie on hats and nothing yet. Lie like the birch in the jollity. She royalty and lie on hats and nothing yet.
Lie like the birch in the jollity.
Quina dan your juke to Yataken and Railtest. Quina dan your juke to Chain and Wish to Yield.
Quina dan your juke to Yataken and Railtest. Quina dan your juke to Chain and Wish to Yield.
She waiting here no sure hats and nothing yet.
Hey!
But it's all a cheer for the man in need. She waiting here no sure hats and nothing yet.
But it's all a cheer for the man in need. Quina dan your box to pour a drink of birchie. Quina dan your box to call for tourist cheer. Quina dan your box to pour a drink of birchie. Quina dan your box to call for tourist cheer. She tea a cajun vine and has and nothing lit. Deborah Jackson Brule like the jolly sea. She tea a cajun vine and has and nothing lit. Hey! Deborah Jackson Brule like the jolly sea.
It was early in the morning, I heard my bulldog bark. Stagger Lee and Billy DeLines, they were fighting in the dark. He's a bad man, oh cruel Stagger Lee. Way down in St. Louis on a Christmas night, Stagger Lee and Billy DeLines, they had a great big fight. He's a bad man, oh cruel Stagger Lee. Now Billy DeLines told Stagger Lee, please don't take my life. I got 2 little babies and a darling loving wife. He's a bad man, oh cruel Stagger Lee. Stag says, what do I care about your 2 little babes and your darling loving wife? You're messing with my Stetson hat, I'm bound to take your life. He's a bad man, cruel Stagger Lee. Mrs. DeLines comes screaming and crying, I don't believe it so. Stagger Lee and Billy been friends since such a long time ago. He's a bad man, oh cruel Stagger Lee. Now Stagger Lee shot Billy, shot him just one time. He says, stroll back people, I want to watch old Billy die. And he's a bad man, oh cruel Stagger Lee. There's way down in St. Louis, there's a place called Lions Club. And every step you walk, you're walking Billy the Lion's blood. He's a bad man, oh cruel Stagger Lee. Stagger Lee shot Billy in 1895. Billy the Lion's in the graveyard. Stagger Lee, he's still alive. He's a bad man, oh cruel Stagger Lee. It was early in the morning, I heard my bulldog bark. Stagger Lee and Billy DeLines, they're fighting in the dark. He's a bad man, cruel Stagger Lee. Way down in St. Louis on that Christmas night, Stagger Lee and Billy DeLines, they had a famous fight. He's a bad man, oh cruel Stagger Lee.
Following on from Barrule there, we had Martin Simpson with Stagger Lee from his album True Stories. That's an amazing band on there. It's Philip Selway from Radiohead on drums, Keith Angel on percussion, Danny Thompson on bass, Andy Cutting on accordion, and John Bowden on fiddle. Can't get much better than that, really. Now, many years ago, when I was getting into playing mandolin a bit more seriously, I bought an album by Simon Mayer, who's a bit of a guru of mandolin playing in the UK. He's released several CDs and does teaching, etc. He's just released a new one, which is called Carolyn, and as you might guess by its title, it features the tunes of Turlough O'Carolan, and from it I've chosen the tune Lord Inchiquin. I was asked if I was going to do a tribute to Gordon Lightfoot, who died a couple of weeks ago now. And of course, he's famous for his songs The Early Morning Rain and If You Could Read My Mind. But I thought I'd play this one. This is The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. The song recounts the final voyage of the ship as it experiences troubles and then sank in the rough seas of Lake Superior late in the shipping season. This song was written before the wreckage of the ship was found.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and true was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early. The ship was the pride of the American side, coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. As the big freighters go, it was bigger than most, with a crew and good captain well seasoned, concluding some terms with a couple of steel firms when they left fully loaded for Cleveland. Then later that night when the ship's bell rang, could it be the north wind they'd been feeling? The wind in the wires made a tattletale sound, and the wave broke over the railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. The dawn came late and the breakfast had to wait when the gales of November came slashing. When afternoon came, it was freezing rain in the face of a hurricane west wind. When supper time came, the old cook came on deck saying, "Fellas, it's too rough to feed you." 7 p.m. a main hatchway caved in. He said, "Fellas, it's been good to know ya." The captain wired in, he had water coming in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night, when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they'd have made Whitefish Bay if they'd put 15 more miles behind her. They might have split up or they might have capsized. They may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains is the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters. Lake Huron rolls, Superior sings in the rooms of her ice-water mansion. Old Michigan steams like a young man's dreams. The islands and bays are for sportsmen. And farther below, Lake Ontario takes in what Lake Erie can send her. The iron boats go as the mariners all know, with the gales of November remembered. In a musty old hall in Detroit, they prayed in the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral. The church bell chimed till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. Superior, they said, never gives up her dead when the gales of November come early.
That was, of course, the Canadian singer-songwriter Gordon Lightfoot, who died aged 84 at the start of this month. Now, Spyro, an instrumental quartet who play very rhythmic, almost hypnotic at times, style of tune sets. On their album Polestar, all tracks are based on English tunes except this one, which is The Iron Way, which is traditional Welsh. Last week I played you a track by Josie Ann Clarke from her new album. She used to be in the duo with Ben Walker. Ben has also released a new album. Ben is an amazing guitarist but doesn't sing, so this album features a number of guest vocalists. On this track it's Emily May Winters. The track is called The Yews of Borrowdale, which intrigued me because obviously I go to the Lake District quite a bit, climbing up fells. And it refers to the ancient yews of Borrowdale. Nestling under the Cumbrian fells, those fraternal four of Borrowdale were celebrated in Wordsworth's 1803 poem, Yew Trees. The three surviving trees and the remains of the fourth are now owned by the National Trust. The female tree is hollow with enough space in its trunk for 4 people to squeeze inside.
Kings of Cumbria ruled this land. 4 brothers usurped their father's command. Each knew himself worthy, noble and just. Each hated the other for greed and bloodlust. Fought and died on the forest floor, condemned as wraiths forevermore, to scream their rage to the restless night, to clash cold iron in jealous fight. The blood-red berries, the ghostly shapes, fraternal four, the yews of Borrowdale stand guard over the grassless floor.
Now, my illustrious predecessor presenting the show, the great John Caneen, still receives a little bit of mail here at Manx Radio, and last week there was a postcard for him from Charlie LeBrun. I haven't had a chance to pass it on to John yet, but it had a download code for an album by Charlie, and obviously he wants his tracks played on the radio, so here we are. The album is called Breton, and this track is called Anaig. That was Charlie LeBrun with An Egg from his album Breton. I'll pass that on to John Caneen next time I see him. I normally see John on a Wednesday night at the O'Donnell session in Douglas, which starts about 9 o'clock. Also happening this week will be the Folk Club in Ramsey on Thursday night, the Mitre session on Friday night, and it should be the Ginger Hall session on Sunday afternoon. There's loads of great live music coming up at the Centenary Centre and at Laxey Institute, and I'll tell you more about that next week. But it's also Blues Club this week at the Railway Inn tomorrow night, Wednesday night. So as usual, I'll play a little warm-up blues track. This is The Chains of Love by Los Lobos.
I'm a prisoner here by your design, and the key to the door, oh, I can't find. Closing in here, baby, are these four walls? Not even a dime will you give me to make my one call. What a man's supposed to do when the joy is gone away from you. Ain't no hammer, ain't no rock can break the lock on these chains of love. I drag down the boulevard, this ball of steel, and the ties that bind me, girl, are all too real. I gotta go free, like a bird up in the air, like a child in the schoolyard, without a care. Ain't no hammer, ain't no rock can break the lock on these chains. Ain't no spell, none I can tell can take away these chains. Ain't no how to get out of these chains of love, chains of love. Look at the clock, so much time. I looked again, and the hands are stopped. alma está muy triste, porque te fuiste a nunca aparecer. Traiciones y mentiras que me hiciste, un día adelante ya no las vas a hacer. Me han dicho que te vieron ya muy triste, que andas pagando con un mal amor. Te dije que tú eras la culpable por tus mal hechos, ay, qué tan gran error. Me estoy muriendo, me estoy matando por una ingrata que me hace tanto malo. Me estoy muriendo, me estoy matando por una ingrata que me hace tanto malo. Baila, negrita. Juraste que me amabas con tu alma, esas promesas nunca te las creí, porque sabía que tú eras ya muy mala y no me amabas como dijiste a mí. La mujer que te echa la mentira no se golpea ni se respetará. Ya por eso les digo, ten cuidado, con las mujeres nunca se jugará. Me estoy muriendo, me estoy matando por una ingrata que me hace tanto malo. Me estoy muriendo, me estoy matando por una ingrata que me hace tanto malo.
So I followed some blues by Los Lobos there with, well, more Los Lobos. They're such a versatile band, and I love that Mexican stuff that they do as well. You always get a sprinkling of those tracks on any Los Lobos album. That one was called Mujer Ingrata, and it's from their album Tin Can Trust. That's a great album. Now, the band Nos, Gnoss, are Triple Scots Trad Awards nominees, and they were formed in Scotland's Northern Isles by Orcadians Aidan Mooney, vocals and acoustic guitar, who writes a number of songs on this new album they've released, and Graham Rory on fiddle, mandolin, electric tenor guitar in 2015. They became a four-piece with the addition of Perthshire's Connor Sinclair on flutes and whistles and Clackmannankshire's Craig Baxter on baran and percussion. Their new album is called Stretching Skyward, and from it this is The Drovers. Now here's an interesting version of a song I came across. It's the Manchester Rambler by James Patterson, Ralph Jordan and John Dipper from an album Flat Earth from 1981. It doesn't seem to have quite the same chorus as the original Ewan MacColl song, and it's got additional material by John Tams. See what you think.
I've camped out on Crowden, rambled on Snowdon, slept by the Wainstones as well. I've sunbathed on Kinder, been burnt to a cinder, and many's the tale I can tell. Me rucksack has oft been my pillow, heather has oft been my bed, but sooner than part from these mountains of love, well, I think I would rather be dead. There's pleasure in dragging the peat bogs and bragging of all the fine walks that you know. There's even a measure of some kind of pleasure in wading through 10 feet of snow. Well, I've seen the white hair on the heather, curlew fly high overhead, but sooner than part from these mountains of love, well, I think I would rather be dead. Nothing changes, it all stays the same. They're selling the moorlands for profit and gain. They've sold all the rivers, bought all the rain, and you can't go up there, you're disturbing the game. Cod's roe, caviar, milk stout and champagne, gold cards and old cards, but never the twain. That's the game, that's their game. Nothing changes, it all stays the same. So I'll go where I will, over mountain and hill, and I'll lie where the bracken lies deep. I belong to these mountains, these clear crystal fountains, where the rocks stand rugged and steep. Well, I've stood on the edge of the downfall, and seen all the valleys outspread. No man has a right to own these mountains of love any more than the wide ocean bed. Nothing changes, it all stays the same. They're selling the moorland for profit and gain. They've sold all the rivers, bought all the rain, and you can't go up there, you're disturbing the game. Cod's roe, caviar, milk stout and champagne, gold cards and old cards, but never the twain. That's the game, that's their game. Nothing changes, it all stays the same. Nothing changes, it all stays the same. Nothing changes, it all stays the same.
I quite like that. I could never quite relate to the I'm a Rambler from Manchester way chorus for obvious reasons. Next, Ross Ainsley is a piper and flute player from Scotland. Tim Eadie is an absolutely stunning guitarist. They've made a duo album called Dyad, and from it this is Freds. Just incredible playing there. Tim Eady particularly, that guitar playing is superb. Well, that's just about all for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget you can get in touch with me via folkshow@manxradio.com. Don't forget you can download this show as a podcast from the usual podcast apps and on the Manx Radio website, and you can also press a button there on the Listen Again function. This last track is Holy Ground by the Mary Wallopers. See you next week.
Oh, adieu to you, my Dinah, 1,000 times adieu. The good old ship is leaving Cove and I am leaving too. And the secret of my mind, you're the one that I adore. Still I live and hope to see the holy ground once more. Fine girl, yeah, you're the girl I do adore. Still I live and hope to see the holy ground once more. Fine girl, yeah, now we're saucy sailing and we are far from home. The good old ship is tossing around, the riggings are all torn, and the secret of my mind, you're the one that I adore. Still I live and hope to see the holy ground once more. Fine girl, yeah, you're the girl I do adore. Still I live and hope to see the holy ground once more. Fine girl, yeah. And now the storm it is over, and we are safe and home. We will drink a health to the holy ground and the one we all